Crowder put out a video saying how some company made him a horrible offer. And a lot of people thought it was a Daily Wire. Daily Wire came out and confirmed it was them. Was not speculation. Let's check this out, man. Let's get straight into it. Hit the like button.
All right. Our friend Steven Crowder has launched an initiative called Stop Big Con. And in the video announcing the launch of the project, he talked about leaving the Blaze and all the different offers that he fielded from other conservative organizations and what he thought were the real problems with those offers. And that's led a lot of people to speculate about whether or not the Daily Wire is one of the people who made him an offer. In particular, are we the ones who made the offer that he put up on the screen and talked about at length? And the answer is yes, that offer did come from the Daily Wire. I'm not trying to hide that fact. I'm not ashamed of that fact. In fact, I think it's a very good offer. But I think there's a lot of sort of misconceptions about the nature of the offer, the nature of the points. I think Steven misunderstood a lot of the points. And so the way we do here at the Daily Wire, we're just going to be incredibly transparent. You know, that we like to have our members be a part of the journey. We live stream all of our company town halls, for example.
This is crazy. They're responding pretty damn fast, man. Oh, okay. All right. It seemed like it was a horrible deal, but maybe there's more to it than what we thought.
I just find that sunlight sometimes is the best disinfectant. And so with that in mind, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we came to be in conversations with Steven, how those conversations ended, and walk you just line by line through what the actual document that we sent over to him, a non-binding term sheet, what it actually said and why. First thing you should know is that I'm really miserable to be making this video. Steven's been my friend for 10 years. I think he's maybe the most talented person working in the conservative media space. He's one of the top entertainers in the country, politics notwithstanding, a great comic voice. And I find it really tragic that we're having this kind of a conversation. But it's also very important, I think, that we talk about it, in particular because I know a lot of people who are fans of the Daily Wire were really offended by the things that Steven said in the video, and they're concerned that maybe we're doing the wrong thing. And I think that by the time we finish this video, you'll understand what we were thinking with our term sheet and how we operate as a business a little bit better. I've wanted to be in business with Steven since the day that I met him.
I don't want to pause too much because I want to be able to hear what he has to say. But you're going to have to tell me something to explain why that deal was so bad, bro. Like, yeah.
Ben and I tried to do some even movie deals with Steven before there was CRTV and before there was a Daily Wire. For that entire time, we've talked at length at various times about getting together and doing things. Of course, for most of that time, he's been under contract, first at CRTV and then at the Blaze. So we weren't able to. And from time to time during the years, we would get together and daydream a little bit about would there be a future for us to work together at the other end of that deal. We got word that Steven was finishing up his time at the Blaze and was interested in having a conversation with us. And so we reached out to his agent and we said, listen, we'd love to have a conversation. It's not every day that a monster talent like Steven comes on the market. We'd be bad businessmen if we didn't engage in a conversation with him. We weren't sure at that time if there was a deal to be had. I mean, for one thing, we're friends with Glenn, we're friends with Tyler, we're friends with all the guys at the Blaze. We weren't sure that we wanted to commit to making an offer to Steven. And Steven's an expensive talent. I mean, he's been in the business a long time. He has an enormous fan base. And we knew that it would take a lot of doing to get him over to the Daily Wire. This at the same time that we're investing very heavily in kids entertainment content and making real television content, streaming scripted fiction like The Pendragon Cycle and Atlas Shrugged and other projects that we've taken on. Would we have the resources? We weren't sure. But again, you have to have a conversation. And we were happy to have it. So we reach out to the agent and we say that. We'd like to have a conversation with Steven, kind of get into the details of what's he looking for? What's he looking for financially? What's he looking for in terms of structure? What would make his life better? What would make him happy? He's got this opportunity now to have a next chapter. What's he want that next chapter to be? And Steven's agent candidly just wasn't interested in any aspect of that conversation. He only wanted to know about the money. He said, we're not going to have a conversation. We're not going to have some abstract talk. We're going to send us an offer. Tell us how much money.
I mean, that's crazy because he probably could have, it's just me just talking, just, speculating, said, yo, I want to start a network. And maybe Daily Wire could have been like, we'll help with that. I don't know. So it doesn't seem like somebody's not being 100% honest or not revealing everything.
You're willing to pay. And he gave us an indication of what the minimum number would have to be in order to even have a discussion with Steven. And it's a big number. So we talked about it internally and we decided, we should do that. We should send over an opening offer, a non-binding term sheet that takes a stab at what we think that minimum number is going to be to get the conversation started so we can sit down with Steven so that we can see if there's a deal that'd be good for him and good for us. And that's what we did. We put together the term sheet, we sent it over, and we asked if we could get on the phone and have a conversation with Steven. I'm going to walk you through that document, what it says, what it doesn't say, some of how Steven represented it. I'm sure he feels like he was being accurate, but some of the things they said are simply not true based on the text. And
damn, it's like you're going against what he said, but you're still trying to be as respectful as possible. Okay, I'm not mad at it.
Steven's a very passionate guy. I think that he's doing his level best to stand against what he sees as an injustice, but there is no injustice in this document, as I think you'll see. And then I'll tell you what happened right after we sent the document when I finally did get on the phone with Steven. So first, here's the document, the non-binding confidential term sheet. I was going to walk you through it, full transparency. This non-binding term sheet sets forth the basic deal points of a proposed content production and distribution agreement between the Daily Wire LLC, the Texas Limited Liability Company, and Steven Crowder via his loan out, so that if and when the parties elect to move forward with a long-form agreement, they can move quickly in preparing a definitive and binding agreement. That's just legalese. That means this is just a conversation starter, and we're obviously going to have a negotiation if we move forward, and a lot of these points are going to get beat up. And for those of you who've never been through a contract negotiation, well, that's how it works. When you you send someone an offer, you don't send them everything that you're willing to say yes to, because there is going to be a negotiation, because agents and lawyers.
That is normal business stuff. In fact, they'll go even further than that. They'll send you the worst deal they could probably possibly send you within the first one. They want to see if they could get it off. That's like rec label type stuff. They want to see if they can get it off. If you're just going to sign the first thing you see, that is a business tactic. Not saying it's right, but that is a business thing. They just send whatever.
Lawyers are going to get involved because you can't read their mind. You don't know everything that will be important to them and everything that they'll want. You don't know even some of their sort of non-negotiable points. And so you send over a loose offer, and then they're going to beat it up a little bit. They're going to say, well, this should be higher and this should be lower. And you're going to come back and say, no, we're going to stand firm here, but we're willing to compromise there. And over time, you either get to a deal or you don't get to a deal. But that's how a good faith negotiation always works. 100% of every interaction I've ever had with any talent, that's the process. And so here we go. Here was our offer. A 4-year initial term with 2-year renewal at DW's sole discretion. That just means Steven's going to work for DW for 4 years. And if it's going really well, DW can retain him for an additional 2 years. The fee. Remember, this is the minimum number that we thought would get the conversation started with Steven. $50 million for the initial term, plus $25 million for the renewal term, if extended, paid in monthly installments. Like I say,
50 mil for 4 years, 25 for the additional. That's not nothing to scoff at. I don't know how much he's making by himself, right? Independently. I don't know how much he would be pulling in, but that's a lot. That's some good money right there. That's more than the 100. What are you saying? He was docked 100,000 for every sick day. I want to hear more about that.
A pretty big number, but we thought for a talent like Steven, this is probably the minimum number that's going to get us in the door so we can sit down and talk to him. 3, production costs. This is important. We've never made a deal quite like the offer that we put in front of Steven, because Steven, very independent guy. I mean, all of our talent have very independent voices. Obviously, we can't tell him what to say. Candace says what she wants, and Jordan Peterson says what he wants. Ben, Michael. But Steven has always built in this protection for himself that he wants to actually produce his content. He doesn't want, most of our guys, they come to the studio and we turn on the cameras. We point the cameras, we point the lights.
Okay.
Steven likes to do that with his own team to just make doubly sure that no one's interfering with his content. Not that we would. And so we anticipated that, and we said, Crowder will bear the burden of production, including all costs associated therewith, on all the content contemplated herein, except on the quarterly and annual content contemplated below. We'll get to that part a little bit later. It's kind of a novel concept. The quality of the production will be as good as or better than his currently existing content. This just, again, Steven's going to produce his own content. It has to be as good as the stuff that
he's already doing. That would make you have more money or be worth more money if you're producing your own stuff.
Steven's audience has come to expect from him. And that'll come out of the 50 million. So it's not like all of that 50 million goes right in Steven's pocket. He's going to use some of it to pay for
production,
producers and studio space and camera equipment and operators and lights. Just like we're going to use some of the money that we make to pay for the infrastructure and the technology and the marketing and the legal and all the other parts that go into making a successful business. Revenue collection that says we'll have the exclusive right to realize revenue in connection with all of his content and brand. We're paying you this guaranteed significant amount of money, $50 million. And for that, one of the things we're buying is the content, but we're also buying the right to monetize the content so that we can have a chance of making some money and not just spending money. What is the content?
So would that be on YouTube as well? They would be taking a cut, or if not even just a cut, everything that you make on YouTube as well. And you might be saying that's crappy, but we don't know if he's making 50 million. Definitely, probably not with ads in 4 years.
First, we broke this into daily, monthly, quarterly, and annual content. The daily content is going to be very obvious to you. He'll deliver a 1.5 hour Louder with Crowder audio video show of quality and kind consistent with the shows that he's currently producing 4 days a week. That's 192 original episodes a year if you factor in 4 weeks of vacation, including all ad reads and promotions as requested by us. So he's going to continue to produce his show, his Louder with Crowder show, 4 days a week, 192 times a year. And that'll include us being able to put ads in it and promotions in it. They'll be filmed in studio daily, Monday through Thursday. At least 1 hour of them will be outside the paywall. That's much how Steven already operates. That's the part that goes out on podcasting. It's the part that goes out on YouTube. It's the part that goes out on Rumble. And at least 30 minutes inside the DW Plus paywall. So in the same way that right now he has his Piss Off YouTube segment that has historically been at...
It's not bad. That's actually pretty light. I do more than that every day. I'll be doing 7-hour streams, bro. Daily, 7 days a week. Wowing. So that's pretty light for some damn 50 mil. But when you at the level as Crowder, you have the fan base, you have the talents. Yeah.
Blaze, well, he would still do that same kind of concept. 30 minutes of the show would now be behind our paywall. Crowder can bank or pre-record a limited number of episodes upon our approval and reasonable discretion. Days without new original episodes will be scheduled in advance, subject to our reasonable approval. What's this about? Well, a guy like Crowder, in addition to his 4 weeks of vacation, there's just also going to be times where he, for whatever reason, maybe he's had a speech, maybe he's got a stand-up comedy gig somewhere around the country. If he were to come to us and say, hey, I can't really shoot a show on Thursday because I'm going to be doing the stand-up gig. that's fine. Let's shoot 2 episodes on Tuesday and we'll roll one of them out on Thursday. It's just giving us all the maximum flexibility to still make the episodes, but for Stephen to be able to live the other important parts of his life. 192 episodes. Obviously, there are 260 work days in a year. Most Americans work 260 days a year minus 10. That's 2 weeks of vacation. So they work about 250 work days a year. And we're telling Stephen, you've got to produce 192. So already, even to say 4 weeks of vacation, that is probably above average, but it doesn't really capture the reality of this, which is there are going to be, 60 days basically of the year where Fridays, we call them, where Stephen basically doesn't have to produce a show.
Working.
And you may say, well, that's still a lot. I know Stephen says that's more than even, network TV would ask for. Yeah, these are points that can be negotiated. I still think most people feel like, if you're only working 4 days a week and you get 4 weeks off every year and you can pre-schedule even additional time to be traveling by banking episodes, you would at least say, you may think, well, he needed to negotiate that and get it down to 170 or something. Sure, I thought he would.
I would be banking episodes crazy. And he was like, yo, man, why'd you send me 4 episodes on Monday? Because I banked them. I'll see you next Monday. But you filmed it? I filmed it all. See you next Monday. Film what? If that was an option, yeah.
But it's certainly not unfair to expect someone that is making $50 million over the next 4 years to work 192 days a year. That brings us to monthly content. What is monthly content? Well, at DailyWire, our members are entitled to an all access once a month with most of our talent. And that's where our members get to interact with them, sort of one-on-one, ask them questions. So we're saying once a month, you would have to do a 90-minute all access and any promotions and ad reads that would go in that. Right now, there are no ad reads in all access. But again, you're giving yourself, it's a 4, possibly 6-year deal. You're giving yourself a little latitude for things to change. Quarterly content. We asked that Stephen would produce 1 major promo video and photo shoot coordinated by us for his content at the company. We would want him to 4 times a year come in and make a very well-produced promo, that gives us marketing assets to be able to go out and sell subscriptions, sell Mug Club, sell any merch that we were doing with him, sell the entire idea of DW Plus, and 1 backstage episode a quarter or other major live event and VIP experience. So, and annual content. This was a new concept. We said that Stephen would do 1 feature-length entertainment special. That's like a stand-up comedy special. And that Stephen would do 1 feature-length political special. Wow. And that's like a documentary, like What is a Woman? This is something we're doing with all of our talent now. You saw it first with What is a Woman?
You gotta do a documentary. That's fire. That would be What is a Woman, Matt Walsh, Candace Owens, her BLM joint. That'd be hard. Wow. So he could have did that.
Woman with Matt. Well. Then in addition to his daily show, he brought us this amazing documentary. You saw it with Candace with Greatest Lie Ever Sold. And we've got a lot more projects like that in the work with our other talent now. It's really become an important part of our business model. Here's the key though. He doesn't have to pay for that out of his $50 million over the next 4 years. We would pay an additional amount every year for that. In the case of the political documentary, we'd give another $1.25 million of production costs. In the case of entertainment, depends on how it breaks down, but we'd give between.
Fam, that sounds great. Yeah, I know maybe it's because I'm so low level that sounds like a sweet deal, but let me hear everything out.
500,000 and $2.5 million more dollars. So, you're talking about just this is more than 8 figures over the 4 years, in addition to the 50 over the next 4 years. And then E, additional Crowder content. What is this? I don't know, but presumably over the next 4 to 6 years, we might come up with other things that either he wants to do or we want to do. So we built a sort of catch-all bucket. If we and Crowder mutually agree to create additional content not currently contemplated, then we pay him $15,000 a day for that shoot. And again, a lot of that would be days he was already shooting. So that's just a little extra money in his pocket if we do something extra. Item 6, back catalog. Crowder will license his entire back catalog, including without limitation, every past episode of Louder with Crowder to us during the term. That just means that all the episodes that already exist would also be behind our paywall during the term. At the end of the term, all of that content that we didn't actually pay for would revert to Crowder at the end of the term, but we would have it in the meantime. 7, ad reads and promo reads. DW will have the exclusive right to sell ads on the Crowder content on all platforms, channels, websites, apps, widgets, pages, and lists owned, branded, or controlled by us, and on any Crowder owned or controlled social channels, email lists, websites, etc., including louderwithcrowder.com. And it says remuneration for that is included in the fee. So what does this mean? Well, this is just how are we going to make first that at least bare minimum 50 million. And if you count the other things we were talking about, 60 plus million, plus we knew he was going to negotiate. So you're probably talking about 70, 75 million plus infrastructure, plus marketing. At least $100 million we would have ended up spending over the next 4 years. Well, how are we going to pay for all of that? One way is we're going to sell ads on all this content. And this is how we handle all of our shows. He has to, item B, Crowder will read the ad copy and promos as requested by us, though he'll have certain rights to disapprove of some ad sponsors for various reasons, right? He can disapprove of like 10% of the ones we bring him. He can disapprove if he owns equity in a direct competitor of one of the advertisers that we bring him. But point D, if he doesn't read the requested ads within that framework, then the content that he made won't be counted as delivered under the contract, because it's all fine and good that he made a piece of content, but if we can't make any money off of it, then we're just paying him so that he can make a show. We're not paying him so that we can participate in any of the success of that show.
That's true.
8, ownership. This is a very important point. DailyWire will own all of the content created herein and will own all of the DW created channels and brands created by us.
Damn, there's a lot of details in this. I gotta speed this up. He's going through it, boy. Oh, but no, you know what? I ain't gonna speed it up. But damn, this is long.
During the term. And to be clear, we can exploit those channels, brands, and content in perpetuity at our sole discretion. What does this mean? Well, it means just like all of the back catalog that Crowder would have been bringing over, we would have a license to have that all over at Daily Wire Plus during the 4 to 6 years that Crowder was here. But at the end of that 4 to 6 years, he would take all that content with him. A little bit different with the content that we're paying, tens of millions of dollars for during the course of that content would always stay with us. We would have a sort of perpetual right to monetize that content even after Crowder would leave. And,
like the documentaries. Okay. So he got to keep, so all the stuff that he filmed, like podcast wise, stayed with him after he left, but then the documentaries, you would still get a portion of. I understand that.
If Matt Walsh were to leave the Daily Wire, presumably at some date in the future, well, what as a woman would stay here? Because we paid for that. We paid for the marketing of it, the production of it. We paid him for the time in which he created it. So this contemplates something very similar. We would still have the right to the things that we make. As far as channels and brands, I'll get to that in just a minute because it's addressed more deeply as we go. Adaptation rights. All this says is that anything that Crowder says on any of this content, we can adapt it down into written content and put it up at dailywire.com. So, we already do a lot of this. You transcribe something that Ben says, you transcribe something that Michael Knowles says, and we can put that out as an article. They don't actually have to do the work of rewriting their thoughts. 10 additional DW rights, merch rights. It says DW will maintain the exclusive right to create and sell Crowder and Crowder content branded merchandise, and the remuneration for that's already included in the feed. So one of the ways that we can make money, put ads in a show. One of the ways that we can make money, sell subscriptions around his content. One of the ways that we can make money is be responsible for his merch. Now, that would mean that we have to pay for the creation of the merch, pay for the marketing of the merch, but we would own the upside. Email list. DW will maintain the exclusive right to manage, grow, and monetize all Crowder email lists during the term. And we have an enormous team here at the Daily Wire, and some of them full-time think about email. So that's a burden that we would take off of Stephen, having to manage his own email list, just like we manage and pay the expenses on the merch. But
that's still crazy. Them having access to that. That still would be wild. I don't know.
We'll get the upside of that. Remember, we're trying to fill that 50, 60, 70, $100 million hole and to make profit. The profit gets poured back in so that we can pay for all the infrastructure, all the technology, and all the other ways that we're fighting the fight. Social media management. This one was something that Stephen seemed particularly aggravated by in his video, although I don't understand why. It says DW will have the exclusive right to manage, curate, and monetize his official Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Snapchat, Rumble, and other social media accounts, excluding his existing personal Twitter and Instagram accounts. So why would we exclude some but not exclude others? Well, we're saying that during the term, we have, of course, he puts his podcast on Apple Podcasts.
For the podcast, yeah, you would be able to do that. That makes sense. But then his personal one, you'll be able to do whatever you want.
We're the ones monetizing the Apple Podcast. So this is just making clear that, yes, we're selling ads in his podcast, the podcast goes out on Apple Podcast, that revenue comes back to us. We put something up on Facebook, same thing. We bring in ad revenue off that Facebook piece of content, but we're going to own that during the term. Obviously, at the end of it.
That makes sense, especially if they give you $50 million. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Term, he's going to get his official Facebook account back. He's going to get his official YouTube account back. He's going to get his official Apple Podcast channel back. But during the term, again, all those people behind us, we've got experts in every one of these platforms, how to optimize it, how to make sure that you're getting the most out of it. And we'll manage that and we'll collect the revenue. But not as Twitter and Instagram, because those are very personal channels. You can't manage someone's Twitter. I can't speak for Candace Owens. I can't speak for Ben Shapiro. If only I could, I would like what they say a lot more. I mean, as you know about Daily Wire, we have a lot of disagreements sometimes between our hosts.
Yeah.
Presumably, if I could control everything that they say, there'd never be any disagreements. They would just all be right all the time like I am. But that's not the case. We're saying, of course, he needs to control his own Twitter voice. Of course, he needs to include his own Instagram account. We get this a lot where people are like, Jordan's Twitter has changed since he joined Daily Wire Plus. I have nothing to do with Jordan Peterson's Twitter account. I don't have login credentials for his Twitter account. I've never asked him to tweet anything or not tweet anything. That'd be way outside of the bounds of what's acceptable because that's the very personal medium, Twitter, very personal medium, Instagram. It also says that we will have the perpetual and exclusive right to create, own, manage, curate, and monetize any and all social media accounts that we create based on Crowder's content or shows. What's that about? Well, Crowder.
All right. Here's what I'm about to do. I'm about to listen to this. I'm going to speed it all the way through, and I'm going to end this one with me just summing it all up at the end. How about that? How about we do that? Because this is crazy. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to listen to it, but I'm going to go do something while I'm listening to it. And then I'm going to tell you what I think. This is future Beast Boy. I watched the whole video. I'm going to be honest. I think that Crowder was being a little dishonest when he told people, I couldn't get sick days. If I take a sick day, they're going to fine me 100,000 or whatever the amount that he described. Yeah, they should do that, man. After the Daily Wire let it be known that, hey, in the contract, we're only paying you for a certain amount of days. And if you were to not fulfill these days, then it would make sense, right? Especially due to the fact that we allow you to bulk record and edit and all that stuff. So the way that it is, right? They need Crowder and his team, the production, because Crowder is handling production, has to provide 4 episodes a week. He could literally record each episode in like one day, like just 4 episodes, and send that out for the week. So if you needed the extra time, right, you can bulk record as long as you can make it up, right? Say, yo, I need these 2 days. I got something going on. Whatever day you record, you can do 3 episodes. And as long as they have enough episodes to be able to put it out, right, pre-recorded, you should be good. What? The way I think, maybe I'm just crazy. I would have episodes recorded automatically that I just have locked and loaded, right? I'm still putting out new ones or like up-to-date topics. I'll have bulk episodes just for the rainy days, bro. Like, hey, everybody, y'all want to take a week off? I want to take a week off. All right, we got like 4 episodes, or we got like 100. Take 4 out of those, send that to the DailyWire. We good. Fam, what? And it seems like DailyWire would have been okay with that. So for Crowder to say, oh, if I get sick or something, then I can't do this. Yo, you're bugging. You're bugging. With the amount of team and members and all that stuff like that you have, you definitely could do it. I do think that Crowder was using this as like I guess some kind of technique or business strategy to get a better offer. Yes, it's a business strategy for the Daily Wire to send a bad offer, or offer that wasn't up to par in the first go around. That's usually how it goes. That's negotiation, right? Crowder went about this the wrong way, and I do think it was wrong because he was dishonest in his delivery, forming it as if Daily Wire was big tech and we had to go against them. And it's like, Daily Wire seems to be against big tech as well, man. And they're offering opportunities, and the money that they offered them was crazy for 4 days, technically 4 shows, plus like additional things here and there, fam. And you would get paid for more stuff that you did. It seems like a decent deal, but I am small time saying that. So if Crowder feels like he can do more by himself independently, then I guess that's the right move. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. Straight crazy out here in these streets.